In this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of the right PPC structure in Amazon. So, my name is Andre, I'm from Inels, and let's talk about the campaign structure on Amazon. The thing is, I've seen a lot of accounts where people have quite a chaotic setup with their PPC. And the problem with the wrong setup is that you might go out of control with your budget allocation. You might not utilize all of the possibilities for ranking for certain products, and you simply might just misunderstand certain things when it comes to your structure, and it might be difficult for you to have this ASIN control and the money control on Amazon. So basically, what I can see in some cases that people prefer to put multiple ad groups under one campaign, and each of those ad groups, of course, has even more targets. Well, this leads us to the problem where when it comes to the campaign, it has a certain budget, and then if you have multiple ad groups under one campaign, it means that you let Amazon to decide how to distribute the budget over those ad groups. And this might actually be a huge problem, because what you can do is you can control which keywords you put in the ad groups. You can, of course, adjust bids, but the problem is that, let's say, you have 50 euros daily budget, and then Amazon distributes some of these budgets to different keywords under those ad groups, but then you end up in a situation that you let Amazon decide, okay, I see that the priority would be with this first ad group from Amazon's standpoint, and then they kind of put more effort there, and you cannot change that much. Of course, you can adjust bids, but then the whole idea over targeting those keywords disappears, because you want to get impressions, you want to get clicks. And also the problem is that, let's say, for the first ad group you have an ACOS of 80%, for the second 20%, for the third one is 45%. You see, each of those needs like separate work on optimizing, but then you kind of let Amazon to decide it, and then it goes out of control, especially with small budgets. So what I recommend you to do, I highly recommend to do, is try to separate as much as possible, especially if you are quite a new account or you're optimizing. You want to be smart with the budgets, especially now the prices per click are going high and you won't see it change anytime soon. What I recommend that you have one campaign, always you have one ad group for one campaign, and then you actually put one product that you advertise, not multiple products, but it goes one campaign for one product. And when it comes to keywords, so here we need to talk. I mentioned in some previous videos that, of course, when you have some important keywords for your product, you want to ensure that you just create one keyword campaign, which means that, let's say we have a yoga mat keyword. Then we would create one campaign for one yoga mat product, targeting only yoga mat keyword with the exact match type. Then we would create a second campaign with the same product, same keyword, but the phrase match type. And the third one for the broad. In this structure, utilizing this approach, you can actually control your budget, you can control bids, and it's not going to affect some other keywords you might have under one ad group. And the most important, that the budget that goes to the campaign, you know how it's spent, right? So you can easily then analyze, track, and not to let Amazon decide where to distribute your money. So if you want to have a control, if you want to rank for keywords, ensure that you separate as much as possible, isolate your keywords, and ensure that you are creating only one ad group under one campaign. When it comes to keywords, so in some scenarios, you actually might consider putting more than one keyword in one campaign, of course. Let's say you have 10 different low search volume keywords, and maybe it doesn't make that much sense to create 10 separate campaigns, and then in total it's going to be 30 if we try to cover each of the match types. You can group them and say, okay, those are low search volume, or you can think about those are keywords that are related to the specific feature or something else. I'm a big believer in grouping keywords and grouping product targeting and etc. So, but for the main targets, I would highly encourage you to always have the separate campaign and always ensure that exact phrase and broad are isolated. They don't go under one campaign in Amazon. If we talk some specifics, for instance, about auto campaigns, again, let's say you have one product that you are trying to sell. It's very important that you create 4 different auto campaigns for each of the match types separately, because then you can control how much money will go on a daily budget spent to close match, lose match, substitutes, complements. You will decide. You will decide where the money will go, which one will actually work for you in this case. And in terms of the suggested bid by Amazon, I would say don't try start with the suggested bid. Of course, there might be some cases like you are targeting your branded keywords, which are quite important to secure, and you might want to actually spend a bit more. And also when it comes to the bidding strategy, you might set up and down. But in other scenarios, you can start with down only bidding strategy. And you can actually set a 30% of the suggested or lower bid that Amazon shows you in Ad Console as a bid that you want to try with first. And then in 1, 2, 3 days, you can see whether you're getting impressions or not. And you can adjust it then. But basically, you create 4 different separated campaigns for, let's say, one product goes to one auto campaign that goes to one match type. But then, interesting thing about auto campaigns that you also want to create a separate auto campaign, the 5th one for the product that you're now setting up PPC for, which actually has all of those match types enabled. So yeah, it's not going to be isolated, but then it's going to have all of those. The reason for that is the specific auto campaign, especially for the past year. I saw so many cases where you can actually have a separate campaign for auto targeting close match type. And then it's going to perform worse than the same close match matching type in the auto campaign that has all of the match types, other not only close but loose complements and subtypes. So if you want to test as much as possible, try to create separate auto campaigns, but also one that has all of the match types together. Because on Amazon, you never know where it's going to convert better, the keyword. I mean, also when it comes to the auto campaigns, do not post the keywords when they start working on auto campaigns. So when you manually put them into the manual campaign or with the automation tools, it doesn't mean that you have to post this campaign and negate it in the auto campaign if it's not working. No, because you never know whether it's going to work in the new campaign. If it works in some campaign, you just leave it. Amazon really cares about the history of the campaign. That's also the reason why you don't archive campaigns. At least you really are not going to use them at all in the future. You can post, but never archive. And in auto campaigns, the only scenario where I would negate a keyword if it's not performing that well, so I don't have that many options to adjust bid specifically to this keyword because it has some limitations in terms of I can of course control the overall bid for the match type group, but I cannot control it for this specific keyword in the auto campaign. So if you find an interesting phrase in your search term reports when looking into the auto campaigns, you want to isolate it, create a separate manual campaign, but then you might negate it in the auto campaign. Again, if it's not just being that, let's say, not generating that much of the clicks because it separately needs a bit higher budget bidding, or it's a relevant one, but then in your auto campaign, you are not satisfied with the ROAS level of this specific target. So you might then negate it in auto campaign. But when it comes to the manual campaigns and the structure, I really recommend you to, for the main products, for the main product groups, you also do this separately. Let's say we're selling protein bars and one of our competitors barbells. They might have different protein bars, but let's imagine they have pack of 6, right, with different flavors. So you want to ensure that you take those products, you take all of the ASINs, not only the main product you researched on, but barbells has 6 different variations, 6 different ASINs, and you want to put all of those into the your campaign ad group, and then you're targeting those 6 ASINs in one campaign. I mean, there's no need to create 6 different campaigns at the beginning here, but you are targeting only one main kind of product group, in this case barbells, and then you can also name it on the campaign that it's a product targeting barbells. When it comes to keywords, you isolate the main keywords, you isolate keywords that are super specific to your product. But then you can group, let's say, lower search volume keywords or the keywords you want to test, and you can then put like 5, 10 of those. But I would still not recommend putting more than 10 or 15 keywords, just to ensure you have this control over your budget and the biddings. So in this way, in this structure, you actually might have a really easy time when doing some adjustments, when analyzing what works just when looking into the dashboard without going even into the specifics of the search terms. It's also crucial to ensure that you have portfolios. The thing is, with portfolios, you want to have it for each product separately. You also want to have a separate portfolio for defensive campaigns, basically where you target your own branded keywords, just to ensure that you evaluate the performance of it separately. Then when it comes to portfolios, you can easily then go and set up the budget, daily budget for the whole portfolio. So you can also have even better control with the budget allocation. Just go on the portfolio, go to settings, and then you have the daily budget cap here. Then within those, it's actually super easy for you to navigate and to check, okay, you go to new, for instance, in this portfolio, we can see with the structure I recommend, and then you can easily see, okay, this is the broad campaign for the keyword targeting for the one product I have, and then we're targeting this specific keyword. So then I can check the performance, go to the search term reports, and check it separately. Here I have auto campaign just for the close match type. Then I have other match types here as well. The interesting thing about budgets, actually, if you go to the budget section here, and if you set up the rule that, let's say, filter by, we take the average time and budget. If you go to history of your campaigns, you'll see you might see some of the messages like went out of budget, which means that, let's say, if your daily budget is $10 by the time of 5 p.m., it's already spent all the money, then the campaign is out of budget. So you might miss out on some sales. So you want to check whether you have those out of budget campaigns or not, and how much it affects your performance. So here we go less than, we put 100%, so show me all of the campaigns that actually are getting out of budget. We press, we choose the data range, it's important, and then we have we have 7 different campaigns in this data range that had, let's say, 90% of the time it was in budget, but then 10% of the time it was out of budget. And this is a very great performing campaign. So what I want to ensure, just increase the daily budget. That's the easiest way how I increase my sales without adjusting bids or anything, because it simply tells you whether you have some campaigns or not where you're missing out on some sales just because the incorrect daily budget. So another important point when creating your campaigns, again, by saying one product, it's okay if you set as a target as a targeting here, you would say you have one product with just 2 different colors. You can put both of those into your campaign. And then Amazon will let you know which ones converts better. You can check it later. But again, if those are quite different, you might consider just launching separate also campaigns for the separate variations you have. Well, it really depends on the case and the product you're working with. But then again, you ensure that you set up the bids by target group separately here. You just enable, disable the ones that you want and don't want to use. When it comes to manual target, you go and choose either keywords or product targeting. With the keywords, you have broad, phrase, exact. Again, you disable, enable the ones that you want to put now. You enter the keyword, you add the keyword, adjust bids, and then you can launch it. When the product targeting, actually, I recommend, again, the same, that we create separate campaign for one product target product group. Let's say we do this one brand, or you take 5 different competitors that are, let's say, lower reviews. So you group them, you see, okay, those competitors are actually performing worse than my product. Maybe they generate only $500. But then if you take 10 of those, it's already $5,000 that you can actually target and get some sales from, because you're not only getting sales from those competitors, but also kind of piggyback on their traffic, because they might be bidding for some keywords that might be more expensive than just bidding on those competitors. So here you have exact, expanded. I would always recommend to separate. Again, you don't create one campaign where you have exact and expanded together. I mean, you might test it, but as the first thing, you separate the launch exact. This is the one I prefer to use. Expanded is more for the research. Again, you're giving Amazon more power here, so you still want to take control, but you can test. Then we have, of course, category targeting. I'm not using it that much nowadays. Again, this is more like an auto campaign for the specific category, but auto campaigns are getting quite good nowadays with the targets. You can check it by the search terms report. So it's not super important to have the category from the beginning. Then when it comes to bidding strategy, again, when it comes to normal campaigns, I put down only. When it's about branded keywords you want to protect, then I might consider up and down. And later on, if I really want to be aggressive on some campaigns, I can for some time set up the down only targeting type. So the most important is, again, isolating. This might help you to really have a control over your PPC setup. To summarize and give you an example of the structure that you can actually use. So when it comes to OT campaign, we take one product, we create first a campaign just close match, second just lose match, substitutes, complements, and then the fifth OT campaign we do all match types together. Then when it comes to manual keyword targeting, we take top of your keywords. Let's say you have 5 or 15 of those, and then for each of those keywords you create campaign for one product, exact, second campaign phrase, third one broad. Ensure that it's down only targeting. Then we take you use the same structure, isolating, but then you might include more than one keyword for the ad group. It might be from 5 till 15 keywords for let's say the group of keywords with a search volume under 350. You can create 2 or 3 of those groups, so it's going to be in total, let's say 15 of the keywords or 45. And then the second group might be keywords with search volume from 350 to 500 searches per month. The more searches you get, the less keywords I would recommend to put you under one ad group. And when it comes to product targeting, you can do similar thing. So you take the first campaign for the, let's say, your top competitor that you believe makes sense to target when comparing your offers and your products. So you do the exact, not expanded targeting. You put either, if it's, let's say, one kind of a product for this brand, you put it, and then you might include some variations if under one ad group. Then you do for the second product, for the third. I mean, it depends on your situation and your category, how many products you put like this. Then you can make competitors groups, kinda. Let's say you take 5 to 10 with low sales but worse offer. It can be price, it can be reviews, it can be value. Like, you need to understand that maybe, yeah, they are selling quite good, but they have bad reviews. So that's a nice chance for you to catch this traffic. And look also to the competitors who make even 500 per month. If you, let's say, in total have 10 of those, it's already 5,000. And if your offer is way greater than theirs, I mean, you might get cheap conversions here. So it's up to you to think of this different groups you can kind of generate with competitors. But it's just something that I really like to use. I really like to group competitors, group keywords, and that's also how it's easier for me to structure this campaign later in my ad console, because I can put it into the campaign name that, okay, this is low sales sellers. Those are, let's say, bad review sellers, and etc. Again, if you have a chance to even isolate more of those, then you can do this. But you can also start with having 5 or 10. It's definitely fine. So I hope this was helpful. Just kind of brief of this easy structure. And if you have any comments or would like to discuss your situation with Amazon PPC, feel free to reach out, either LinkedIn, Andres, so I will put a link, or our website, inels.com. See you.